Restored Republic via GCR update as of April 16, 2018. Compiled by Judy Byington. Transcript and links on iqdcalls.com. The following is a synopsis of unvetted information found on the internet. It is up to the individual reader to make their own conclusions about what is actually happening. A. Intel Report, Operation Disclosure GCR/RV Intel Alert for April 15, 2018. Disclaimer: the following is an overview of the current situation based on rumors from several sources which may or may not be truthful or accurate. 1. The Syria situation continues to play out. New rumors suggest it was a ploy to humiliate and expose France, the UK, and the US once Russia released evidence proving the chemical attack originated from rebel groups. Trump was aware of this ploy. France and the UK were not. 2. Zimbabwe was preparing to announce the gold standard for their currency. 3. Stock market corrections were expected to begin April 16. Technical breakdown: the global stock market crashes now. 4. If the RV doesn't begin, the stock market would collapse within weeks. 5. Trump would announce the implementation of the H.R. 5404 bill. US dollar was asset/gold backed, after the RV. 6. There was a race against time for the alliance to release the RV. Optimal timing for the 800 release was every midnight. 7. Tier 4 RV exchange appointments were expected to be given April 16 via the 800 numbers. B. April 15, 2018 Admin Bill Tidbit. 1. Activity has begun. The game is on. 2. As usual, the information is conflicting. Not bad, just conflicting. 3. Download one of these communication apps to privately connect via a secure encrypted text and phone line. The person you are communicating with must be using the same app, Viber or Signal. C. Intel Update, Refresher, GCR/RV Intel Update. Disclaimer: the following is a report based on rumors relayed to the author which may or may not be truthful or accurate. 1. The origin of 9/11 actually began in 1944, with the Bretton Woods Conference in New Hampshire. That's when the entire world gathered after WS2 to devise a new global financial system, which was agreed to by all nations of the world after the defeat of Nazi Germany and the first axis of evil, Germany, Japan, Italy. 2. This new financial system also spawned the central banking system, CBS, World Bank, WB, and International Monetary Fund, IMF, as well as the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, and even the reinstitution of the gold standard for all currencies, which was physically supplied by Asian elders, primarily from the wealth of the exiled Philippine king and 23rd Spanish Pope Father Antonio José Diaz. 3. In the next 2 years, millions of metric tons of gold were placed into central banking vaults globally with the assistance of the Philippine military, led by brilliant attorney Ferdinand Marcos. Not only support all global currencies with a gold collateral, but also all global trading and post-war reconstruction financing. These scattered accounts, but web of united international sovereign trusts, were the physical assets backing the new financial system and were gifted with love for all humanity to both prosper and achieve peace. 4. At its core, Bretton Woods was a flawed financing system due to its overuse of usury, loans with guaranteed interest repayments, over non-recourse capital grants, loans without repayment guarantees. 5. Many believe the truth of a fiat dollar first arrived when then-President Franklin Roosevelt had to demand the collection of American citizenry gold and silver back in 1933. 6. A gold war came to America when Nixon was forced to take America off the gold standard in 1971, which ultimately forced his resignation in 1974. 7. The BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, had to be created in 2009, just as a logical, moral alternative to the madness of the Western financial system's overt desire to bankrupt the world and induce sovereign submission through military and economic oppression via their now corrupted central banking system, World Bank, International Monetary Fund and Bank of International Settlements Mafia. 8. all of them have been completely corrupted after 74 years of lawless activity. Thus all these institutions either needed to be removed and reset, or at the very least reformed in board of director majority. This included the Vatican Bank in 2012. 9. All needed changes have already been made due to some heroic but anonymous careers of BRICS alliance leaders, and back of the bank sovereign elders, including American white knights in the military working with deeply patriotic covert agenda leaders within our own government who understood the grave dangers facing the world, and stepped bravely into the gap to reverse the mechanisms of power. 10. The BRICS alliance has created a technologically advanced quantum satellite financial system with new impenetrable blockchain software, and it's subtly coming online to replace the old Bretton Woods system, with the gold backing from the massive precious metal reserves of Africa, led by Zimbabwe and the African elders, as to return the world currency and international trading markets back to some fiscal sanity before it was too late. 11. It's all over but the shouting despite what you see nightly on TV in Syria and with Trump. Everything is settled and being implemented now, including a working two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. 12. Some very poor countries once thought to have worthless currency values will suddenly become incredibly valuable as they relate to how much precious metals reserves they either stored above ground in central bank vaults or have been audited to have below ground as mineable natural asset reserves. Thus, nations ravaged by war or past Western banking sanctions like Iraq, Iran, Zimbabwe, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Afghanistan will all see tremendous value increases due to their currency values against a gold standard, simply because they possess large quantities of precious metal assets and China is accounting for their wealth through an advanced digital financial system operating out of Beijing. 13. A new American government named the Republic of the United States will be moved forward and restored sanity back to our government, i.e. back to the Founding Fathers' original constitutional intent, as well as the restoration of U.S. money and sovereign assets back to a gold standard of value. 14. This transition has been ongoing in classified silence behind the scenes since honestly the early 80s when Reagan was president. And hidden geopolitical movements are just now completing in full public view, albeit in a confusing fashion and time in American political history. D. Bank Story, TNT, Rayren 98, Waiting. I went to Wells Fargo on Wednesday, April 11th after the TNT call. I asked the manager if he has heard about the GCR. He said yes. I asked about the Afghani rate. He said that the Afghani is on the screen but no rate, but he said that the rate will be around $2.50. I asked about the bank fine if they don't RV. He said that they did get the notification. I asked about Iran Rial, said that it is on the screen with no rate but it says waiting. He heard that it could come out right under the Iraqi dinar rate. They do sell the Indonesian rupiah at some branch locations and on their website. He expects the RV to happen within the week or by next Wednesday from what he is hearing from the bank people and his other sources. He told me that the banks are watching them on giving out info and there are consequences if they get caught. He is invested in the GCR and other foreign currency. Zap, Born This Way, Weekly Zap, the Office of Poofness. Poof, nothing has changed regarding the joint efforts of all who are working toward the betterment of humanity, toward the opening of a spigot for receiving funds. DJ. 1. I was told the HR 5404 was signed and gold values have been placed on the US dollar. 2. President Trump has signed off on the Paris Climate Treaty. 3. A tariff understanding has been reached between China and the US. 4. HSBC top officials have been arrested and charged with obstruction and embezzlement. It seems the money moved there last October has been played with and mishandled. 5. Wells Fargo has been getting charged $1 billion per day in fines for not being compliant. 6. Exchanges started last Wednesday, April 11th and Thursday, April 12th and were continuing through this weekend. 7. There were payouts in Reno from some certain overseas interest. 8. How distributions will be handled at the public levels and when, as well as what can and cannot be done with the funds, will be spelled out in a very clear and simple manner. 9. I have been given a precise protocol on how the funds will be distributed through the project accounts, the civilian accounts and the release of the new technologies. I hope to be speaking of those protocols in the near future when given permission to do so. 10. All things are in place and at the ready for the release of funds. 11. Collateral accounts allocated to gold wrap the new currencies as needed. Decades in the making, banking systems are being implemented to handle the new financial networks. Security protocols are in place to monitor and control the funds movement. Political agendas and arguments are solved or at least agreed upon. 12. These actions are just a few of the known mechanisms and strategic planning deployed, upgraded, or in the process of development, for the release of funds that are positioned to repair our global financial dilemma. 13. FATCA law implemented, Foreign Account Tax Compensation Act. 14. Overhaul and updating of the SWIFT payment system, Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, and its integration with the CIPS, Chinese International Payment System, and recently the RPS, Russian Payment System. 15. The implementation of the Hercules IT/AI banking software. 16. The creation of the BRICS banking system, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. 17. Development of the AIIB, Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. 18. An allocation format and percentages agreed to on what portion of the global collateral accounts each participating nation will receive to gold cover their particular currency circulations. 19. Almost all global and sovereign financial institutions' adherence to the Basel III Accords with the main focus on capital reserve compliance. 20. An understanding and compromise has been resolved between the Chinese and the Vatican with regards to the release funds and what portion they will receive. This has been an unknown roadblock for several months now. 21. Funds have been allocated and positioned for distribution to destination accounts. 22. A centralized, global intelligence network has been implemented for oversight and the streamlined financial activity monitoring with respect to all current global financial compliance laws. Terrorist Act, Money Laundering Act etc. That is also effectuating the arrest and case building for future indictments of the corrupt behavior within the system. 23. Agreements in place for the restitution of damages accrued from the illegal activity of the global banking and financial systems including the prosperity programs, restitution to the global debt facility for improper hedging of the collateral accounts, sovereign debt relief and so on. 24. The removal of U.S. military bases from strategic location throughout the globe that have caused an unrest or unwarranted defensive posture from surrounding states, changing the perception of the U.S. on the global scale from an offensive irritator to an defensive peacekeeper. Zap. 25. My intelligence has given a clear picture of many arrests in the U.S., Russia and China. 26. Funds released will be here shortly. 27. Something very significant happened last Thursday, April 12th. I do know the exact time it started. The events expected now will begin. 28. There would be a couple days of lag time until the release finishes. 29. The RV side is very healthy and action will be seen very soon. That is a few min old and comes from a correct source. F. Biggest stock market bubble of all time is ready to burst. Transcript and links on iqdcalls.com.